Hello and welcome to my review of the Dracosan Armoured transport for Solar Auxilia for Warhammer, the Horus Heresy from Games Workshop. Now, one of these tank transports will cost you £57 and consists of 154 plastic components. To put it in perspective, the recently released Dracosan Armoured conveyor for Mechanicum, which also incidentally costs the same, only consists of 119 plastic components. So you're getting a fair few more here, like 35 more components. And I think part of that is because of the Solar Auxilia vehicle upgrade sprue. So the format of this review is as usual. I'll have a look at the miniature up close, go through how easy it was to build or how long it was to build. Then I'll go through the spare parts, size comparisons, and then finally at the end I'll go through all of the rules. Now, it's worth noting that the Dracosan transport was initially included in that Solar Auxilia Battle Group box set you see in the background, and of course that Solar Auxilia Battle Group box set was released at £130, so you're looking at almost half the price of the box set there in just this one tank. It's a decent sized tank. It's pretty much the same size as a Malcador. In the box set you also got a Lehman Russ strike tank, as well as one of those big Aethon heavy Sentinels. Let's have a look at the miniature up close then. As I say, it's a decent sized miniature. It will take you a while, and what I mean by that is the tracks mainly. It's got quite a few tracks, just like the Malcador. You also have to make the tracks underneath this armoured cowling for them. I think it's great that the tracks are protected in this particular tank. There's just a lot of parts to sort of preparing things to make this tank. You've got a number of options as well. Now, you can have the Hunter Killers, you can have a Solar Auxilia on the top there. You can choose different weapons like the multi-laser, heavy flamer and heavy stubber. You don't have to have gunner at the top. Also, you've got different hull mounted weapons. You can have this Gravis las cannon, or you can have a demolish cannon, which is pretty nice. With the las cannon, you do get the maximum number of transport capacity, which is 22, so the same number that you can fit in the Triaros. With the demolish cannon though, that reduces it down to I think 10. So yeah, it takes up a fair bit of room, I guess, for the shells and things, which is fair enough. Yeah, decent looking tank, similar to a Malcador, like shares the same chassis and things, but I'll show you later on. Both of these, next to each other, they're quite different. One's definitely a big main battle tank, and this one is yeah, pure transport. I still preferred the Triaros though, in terms of sort of size and the kit to build. But yeah, that's the Dracosan. Let's have a look at the spare parts. Now, if you build yours just like I have built mine, you should be left with like a, the back engine grill thing, which is the one that you'd use for the Malcador. This one is a little bit different. It's more armoured, I guess. You've got some kind of tank tool, and then you've got the demolisher cannon barrel and its mount too. So it's got a separate mount. A point to make about the mount is this is loose inside, so if you don't glue it, it is going to be loose, and you don't have much friction. So it's going to be, just at a neutral position or even a little bit lower. You can't really raise it and then stick it in one place. So for the las cannons at least, I've glued it. For my second Dracosan, which I'll have the demolish cannon on, I'll see if you can pose it with this one. It might be a little bit different, I don't know, but if not, I'll probably end up gluing it in one position. You also get the rest of the vehicle upgrade sprue. I didn't use the dozer blade at all. Not sure why. Probably would be quite good. I might use the dozer blade for the demolisher cannon version. You also get different hatches, and as I say, the heavy flamer and the heavy stubber, and some different heads and things for the gunner, and like Vox relays and data panels and whatnot. So not that many spare parts, but the Triaros, you don't get any Speaking of which, let's go through some size comparisons. So we'll start off with tanks first of all, and you know I've talked about the Malcador throughout this review. So let's just start with that. So here you go. This is the Malcador. I think they are exactly the same width. Like for some reason I was thinking that the Dracosan was a little bit wider, but they're exactly the same width. It's just maybe the Dracosan doesn't look as thin. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's this turret here, but as you can see, the front is different. It looks like there's more space. They've used more space there. It protrudes further out of the tank, which means that the demolished cannon would sit further back in that tank. There is the demolished cannon for the Malcador, and yeah, this one you can sort of pose it in at least 2 positions maybe, but that's as far as the similarities go really, in terms of tracks and the width and the length of the tank. They're both the same length. As I say, the Malcador's got this big turret on the top. It's got these sponsons which haven't got the best sort of firing angles, and neither has the turret really. But then the rear looks very similar. You've got the 2 exhausts. This grille for the engine or whatnot, I would have thought is more armoured on the Dracosan. You've still got the flare shield. You've got this extra thing here. Not quite sure what this is on the Dracosan, and you've got this extra thing. Again, I don't know. You haven't got a barrel, which is, it would be nice to have a barrel on there, maybe. If you don't put it on the Malcador, I'm pretty sure you could put the barrel on the back of the Dracosan, so I might do that for the other one. In place of the sponsons, you've just got these big heavy doors, and that is the main access points for the Dracosan. There aren't any others, well, other than the top hatch obviously. So for your las rifle section, they're going to be coming out of these 2 access points. Malcador, literally just this top hatch for access. They might have like an emergency door underneath them. I don't know. Who knows? But it's not really shown. There's just like a hardened metal plate there, and the same for the Dracosan. But yeah, that's the size sort of similarities, I guess. They're pretty much the same size. The Malcador seems a bit bigger because of this turret, but then the Dracosan also seems bigger because it's got a sort of more of the top. It's got more of a height. Like there's more on the top there that is taller than the Malcador, but same length, same width, very similar tanks. Compared to like your main battle tank, which would be your Leman Russ. Again, Leman Russ is, I'd say a bit shorter. Is it as wide? It's a little bit thinner, but obviously shorter as well. A fair bit shorter. Not half the length, but definitely like 6/8 or so of the length. So that's where it measures up next to a Leman Russ. The Aethon Heavy Sentinel, which is also included in the set. That's where it stands next to one of those. These have really grown on me, these Heavy Sentinels, since I built this one. But that's where it stands there. And then of course next to like your normal las rifle Solar Auxilia troops. Yeah, you could say you could fit 22 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 34. Yeah, you could fit 22 of those in there. Not much of an issue, I don't think. So that's it compared to its brethren, the Solar Auxilia, compared to the Triaros Armoured Conveyor, and you can just see already this thing, it doesn't dwarf it, but it is such a bigger bigger tank, both in height overall, in width, and actually in length as well, because it's got this big shock ram. You know, these are the same price kits at the end of the day. I'm pleased that they did price it at the same point, because they probably could have priced it at over 60 maybe, but you know, you are getting fair few parts, you know, and only 119 with a Tri-Aros, and you don't get any spare parts, whereas the Dracosan you do. Whether those spare parts are usable is questionable, but yeah, I just thought that would be a useful comparison, and then compared to like another Mechanica model like the Castellax. Just gives you an idea, hopefully that helps. And then a final comparison I always like to make is just with some 40k miniatures. So if this helps, you've got a normal Space Marine there. Maybe a Space Marine could fit, I'm not sure. Slight Marbo definitely could, and then a Primaris. Yeah, still, you know, it doesn't even go up to the top of the door there for the Primaris. So still quite a nicely sized transport. Okay, so this is my part of the review where I will go through all of the rules for the Dracosan Armoured Transport for Solar Auxilia. You'll find it in the dedicated transport section of your Liber Imperium Forces of the Emperor Army book, and it will cost you a whopping 175 points. This thing is not cheap for a transport. Of course, being a dedicated transport, it means it can be taken as a dedicated transport for the Solar Auxilia rifle section, but only if the rifle section consists of no more than, and that can be a unit of any size. And of course, Solar Auxilia rifle section, you can have you know, up to 20 in the unit. The Solar Auxilia line command section can also take it as a dedicated transport. So can the Veletaris Vanguard and the Veletaris Storm section, as well as the Veletaris command section, the companion section, and the tactical command tertio. So quite a few options there. So this can be used for quite a few other units. Now, what are you getting with these 175 points? Well, it's a movement of 12 inches, which is pretty good. It means it can keep up with those Leman Russ Strike tanks. Its ballistic skill is 3, which is standard for Auxilia. You've got a front armour of 13, side 12, and rear 11. So although the front and the side armour isn't quite as good as the Leman Russ, the rear is actually a better armour than the Leman Russ. Leman Russes have rear armour of 10. Doesn't quite have the same decent armour as a normal Malcador though, even though it's the same chassis. Malcador has a side armour of 13 and a rear armour of 12, so very decent. You're also getting 5 hull points, which is the same as a Malcador, and you're getting a transport capacity of 22. War gear, 1 hull mounted Gravis las cannon, searchlights, smoke launchers. Unit type is a vehicle transport reinforced. Access points has 2 access points, 1 on each side. Options. A Dracosan Armoured Transport may take one of the following: Flare Shield for 25 points, up to 2 hull-mounted Hunter-Killer missiles at 10 points each, a Dozer Blade for 5 points. May also take one of the following: Pintle-mounted Heavy Stubber for 5 points, Pintle-mounted Multi-Laser, which mine's equipped with, for 10 points, Pintle-mounted Heavy Flamer for 5 points. May also exchange its hull-mounted Gravis las cannon for a Demolish cannon for 50 points. So that then pushes this tank past that sweet 200 point price point to, you know, 225 points, so it's getting quite pricey then. And then also it knocks down the transport capacity down to 10. So you might want to equip it with the Demolish cannon and then put the Veletaris Storm section in there of 10 models. That would be a good use for it, but then you're talking about quite a big chunk of points there in one unit. But then you are giving the Veletaris some much needed protection before they jump out and swipe with those Murderous Strike power axes. Now, weapons wise, I'll just briefly touch upon these weapons. So mine's equipped with that Gravis las cannon, so it's a 48-inch range, strength 9, AP 2, heavy 2 Sunder. The Demolish cannon, of course, that is a range of 24 inches. It's a strength of 12, AP 3, Ordnance 1, Blast 3 inches, Sunder, Rending 6+, and Brutal 3. So, you know, if you want to get rid of Space Marines from close distance, or tanks, I guess, then Demolish Cannon's way forward. If you wanted to take out things from afar, then go for the Gravis Las Cannon. But as always, with a ballistic skill of 3, you know, you've got a 50-50 chance of hitting anything with the Gravis Las Cannon. The other weapons, of course, you've got the multi-laser, which is a 36-inch range, strength 6, AP 6, heavy 3. You've got the heavy stubber, which is a 36-inch range, strength 4, AP 6, heavy 3. Again, other than a points reduction, I'm not sure why you'd pick the heavy stubber over the multi-laser. Of course, if you're going for the rule of cool, I think heavy stubbers look quite cool. And then you've got the heavy flamer, which is a template weapon, strength 5, AP 4, assault 1. So in summary, I think it's a cool looking tank. I like how they've used the same chassis for the Malcador. I hope that this is in the same vein as with the Triaros, where they've got the transport in the battle group set, and then they're going to use the Triaros chassis and sprues to then create the Karachnos. That would be great, much like in the same vein that they've done it with the Dracosan and then the Malcador. I think it's good when Games Workshop do things like that and they use up you know, existing sprues to then tweak another set that hopefully will come out. I think they've done a good job with this one. It's a bit tricky to build, like it'll take you a bit of time to clean up all the parts and things, but you know, the end result is a very nice tank. And I hope that they release the Aurochs, which is a slightly smaller transport tank in plastic. I doubt they'll use the same chassis for that though. They'll have to make a new chassis for that, but it gives them an excuse to create those battle tanks that also share the same chassis, a bit like Rhinos and Predators. In terms of game wise, I think it is expensive points wise for what you're getting, but you know, it's a very good transport in terms of speed, its main weapon, and its transport capacity. You know, to get 2-shot las cannon and 22 las rifle Auxilia in there is decent, and you've also got the option to have that demolisher cannon with some Velataris. And that's all I wanted to say about the Dracosan Armoured transport. Please do put your thoughts and opinions of this model and unit in the comments below. It'd be good to hear from you. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.